Hey everybody, this is Courtney Sparkman over at OfficerReports.com, and I hope this video finds you safe and healthy in what's become our new normal. So for today we're going to start a new series, and the series is going to be called Ask an Expert. So for this series I'll be taking questions about any topic that you want to discuss in the security industry, finding an expert to ask those questions, and then posting those responses for you. Today we'll be talking to an industry veteran who went from the vendor side of the table to the buyer side of the table. It'll be a very interesting discussion. Hey everybody, this is Courtney Sparkman over at Officer Reports, and I have a huge treat for you today. I'm sitting down with a friend of mine, Ben DeVilla. Let Ben explain who he is.
Well, Courtney, I started my career in narcotics as a narcotic agent in Louisiana. Then I went into management in a private security firm. And from there, I went into sales, as me and you met originally. Then I ended my career in the private sector after about 16 years in working in contract security. But I still dabble in the police department, police force. I work with different government agencies, including the FBI, CIA, drug trafficking, and so forth. So I've seen a lot in my career, but I also had the privilege of managing a lot of wonderful folks.
Yeah, so there are not a lot of people that I can say have gone from the contract side to the other side of the security, right? Buying security services. And that's kind of, the position that you're in right now, correct?
Yes. Right now I'm currently working as a security and safety director for a global company. So I not only manage contract security, but I also work with different security or safety vendors in the industry. So it's a difference now. I still have clients, but now I'm overseeing the contract side of the street as a manager.
Got it. So you aren't the guy getting up at the middle of the night having to go sit on a post then?
Not anymore. Not anymore. I understand that. It's a very difficult industry, very competitive, the contract world. But fortunately, I don't have to do that anymore.
Excellent. So as a salesperson for a contract security company, you had a way of selling, a way of talking to your customers to say, hey, come buy from us. The companies that you talk to right now, are they kind of using the same presentation style or presentation method or presentation information that you used to use?
No, I find it that it's all about relationship building. As a salesperson, I've found that before you sell a product or sell a service, you have to build a relationship. And now that I'm here, I look for that. It's still important. I'd rather buy from someone that I have a relationship with, I could trust, and I have an open communication with them. And when I was in that side, when I was selling, that's what I tried to develop or create, a relationship with the person I'm selling to. Because at the end of the day, it's a commitment you're making. And so now that's what I look for my vendors or contractors. I want a commitment from them that if you're selling me a service, you're selling me a product, I want you to put your name on it. It don't necessarily have to be your company. You could be a representative, but you have to buy in what you're selling. And the same thing when I was a salesperson. I believed in the product. I believe in the service and the company I was representing. And that's what I was selling. So I still look at it. The common denominator is still there. Is developing a relationship with that person.
So it doesn't really, so as a buyer, you don't necessarily see the global companies, the national companies being the best because that they are national.
Yes, no, it doesn't. Because we know at the end of the day, is the person that you talk to, your account manager locally. That's what's matter. It's very rarely when the national president or CEO will come to your door and talk to you. That's very rarely. So what I look for is your account rep. That's who I want to talk to. You know, put somebody in front of me that I will talk to when I need help. When we have crisis, somebody I could call in the middle of the night. You know.
Right. So when you're comparing, let's say we're comparing, you know, because you manage some fairly large contracts with some fairly large companies. So let's say you have a small company who's interested in talking to you, right? So from what you're saying is, it doesn't matter that you're small, because when that small company talks to you, it's the CEO more than likely that's coming to talk to you. So if that CEO can represent and say that, hey, when there's a problem, I'm the person that's going to respond, you know, that holds a little value to you.
Exactly, it does, because now I know that person is invested in me and my company. So I know that person will be there when it's needed. And a larger company, sometimes you have to go through levels of persons to get something done. But we'll give a chair. Like you mentioned, I work for a global company. We have major companies. But my expectation for them is the same if you have 1,000 employees, if you have 5 employees. I still look for that same commitment from them.
Okay, excellent. So if there were, let's say, 3 pieces of advice that you could give to smaller companies who are looking to engage, you know, large companies like you, what 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
Well, actually, it's only one.
Okay.
Start a relationship. That's it.
Okay.
Once you start that relationship, number 2, number 3, and so forth will fall in line. Because once you focus on that relationship, you're talking because now you're friends. Now you want to help a friend out. And you're able to help them out because what you have in your suitcase or briefcase, that's all it takes. Because that's what a person is going to relate you to, is you put in a name. So that's the only advice I give. You start a relationship with that person. Find out what that person wants. Once you see what that person wants, then you take it to the next level. And they'll buy from you because you sold them on you. And that's the key.
So give me your opinion on when you're receiving proposals from various companies, is the first thing that you look at price? I mean, are you necessarily looking to buy from the lowest price bidder?
To be honest with you, yes. I learned that a long time ago. When you deal with numbers, you have to look at that. Then the next thing you look at is the value. Who's giving you the bigger bang to the buck?
Okay.
But to be honest with you, if I sit here and says that I don't look at that, I'll be totally lying to you.
Is that the most important thing to you? That bottom number?
You know, not to me, but to the company.
Okay.
Because the company does, when you talk to your CEOs, you talk to your stakeholders, they want to know about numbers.
Okay.
And anybody that's in procurement, anyone that deals with stakeholders, boards, when they sit down, the first thing they want to know is the numbers.
Okay.
That's the start, though. You have numbers, then you compare other numbers. And the industry is very competitive. The numbers is somewhat the same. Now, to answer your question, would I go to the lower bidder? No, I don't advise anyone to go to the lowest bidder.
Okay.
But what you do, you find a medium. Because if you go to the higher bidder, what are they offering you that the medium bidder is not, or your lower bidder. Then you start saying, who's giving me the best bang for my buck? And that's when you start saying, okay, now here's here's the key word, added value. So that's secondly. So you look at the numbers, then the value has to match those numbers.
So it's not necessarily, hey, I'm going to choose the lowest price bidder. It's, I'm going to see where that dollar range is, make that evaluation. And if you are the lowest price bidder and you add all the other value that all the other companies are going, then it's kind of a no-brainer. You go with the lowest price bidder. But if you choose the lowest price bidder and they don't add anything outside, it's just being the lowest price, then that's kind of a bit of a turnoff.
Yes, because keep in mind, we're not the decision makers.
Okay.
When you work in a corporation like I do, I have to take it to the next level, either to procurement, to the board, to stakeholders. And what they look for is, well, Ben, we're about to spend $1,000 more. Why? In most cases, and I love the scenario when I go to the board and say, no, we're about to cut, but we'll have better value. But to be honest with you, that's far in between. In most cases, we have to increase. And I have to sit there, and people in my position have to sit there and explain to those above, saying, well, we're increasing, but this is the value. So when you're selling the service, now keep in mind, you sold the service to me because of your relationship. Love it. Now I have to take that and sell it to those who's in charge of profit, loss, procurement. And they most likely have to sell it to their boss. And so what they love to hear is, oh, it's a reduction with added value. But in most cases, is an increase with added value. So that's where I learned in my position. You know, being in a salesperson, selling contracts, selling products. I understood, but I didn't walk in those shoes until now. So I think the industry needs to know that you know, a lot of times they look and say, well, the justification, but the work has to be put in when you deal. Now, if I was a decision maker, perhaps, you know, I look at things differently. But business is business. And it's going to be money. I would love to sit here and say, I'm going with the best quality. You know, even if you're a $1 billion company, that's why they're a $1 billion company. Because they know how to save.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope that answered a lot of your questions that you have about selling services to huge corporations. If not, I'll leave a link for Ben's information where you can feel free to reach out to him. Thanks a lot, Ben. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Joy.